Nothing clears your head like getting behind the wheel and driving towards an exciting destination. I always tell people that it's so important to make space in your mind, because if you're always in your own head, how will you ever be able to explore new sensations, opportunities, and where will you find inspiration? I'm off to the south of Manila in my Lexus RX, ready to learn something new again.
I pretty much cook for a living. For the longest time, I never really wanted to say that out loud because I'm not technically a chef or a cook. I'm just someone that makes videos online, but I do develop a lot of recipes, and we do have to constantly come up with new ideas when it comes to food. And with anything you do in life, if you're constantly just looking at your own belly button and at your own environment, you start losing the inspiration that's key to be able to create things. So I'm really excited today because we're finally getting out of the studio kitchen, and I'm on my way to a little town called Magdalena in Laguna, which I've never been to, but I recently tried a Kesong Puti from there, which was absolutely delicious. So we're going to learn about how it's made. Finally made it to Magdalena. It was a quite quick, like 2-hour ride. Now I'm ready to milk carabao. Let's do this.
You can find various kinds of Kesong Puti in the Philippines in all sizes and flavors. Depending on the care of the process and the ingredients, some are better than others. It's usually made with milk, salt, and a coagulant or acid like vinegar, calamansi, or rennet. The town of Magdalena started out as a barrio in the same year as the city of Manila in 1571. It then became a separate town in 1820. It was a source of milk for the cheese making of the neighboring town of Santa Cruz, which has supposedly been making Kesong Puti for about 400 years. The farmers here have been milking carabaos for centuries, but they first came together collectively over a decade ago under a government program, and then they formed the Magdalena Agriculture Cooperative, or MAGCO, in 2017. Magdalena's cool climate and waterways make it an ideal place to raise water buffaloes. Happy carabaos thrive and produce quality, high-fat milk that lends itself perfectly to cheese making. This is what makes the Magdalena Kesong Puti so special. We met up with Kuya Bert, the caretaker of the carabaos, this farm, and the best person to show me the ropes.
So what's your story, Bert? You said you used to work in Saudi.
Yes,
What
for Saudi Arabia and Riyadh.
What were you doing in Saudi?
Chef cook.
A chef cook.
I will cook French food and American food there.
Really?
That's my house. Yeah, that green.
Ah, you live here?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I'm 74 years old.
74?
Yeah.
Look. Hey.
But I'm strong.
Yeah, because
I'm strong.
You live in a
I will bring this to take the milk.
Here.
This the small carabao. Come.
Every morning you guys come here. How many buckets or liters do you get?
I mean, in one carabao, there's 6 liters every one carabao.
One carabao, 6 liters.
Come. Let's take milk. Oh! Ay! Oh, lumakbo. Oh, wait!
Yeah, She still doesn't look too sure about what's about to happen. But making her take a shower, so hopefully she feels a bit more comfortable. And her legs are tied, which is the most important part, so at least we don't get kicked in the face while doing this. And how long have you been doing this?
Oh, almost 30 years.
30 years?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Wow.
Kesong Puti is very good.
Yeah,
very good taste.
It's very
Did you
good
taste
taste.
already?
Yeah, it's very soft and creamy. I love it. It's so good. Okay, so technique is you use your middle fingers to press down. 2 hands here? It's a weird feeling.
This is the first time to...
It's my first time to milk anything. I feel like we don't know each other enough, Kuya Bert, to be doing this together. That's not... I thought it was going to be easier than that. You really have to press down.
Okay,
now I'm getting a hand of it.
Oh.
Oh my god, you really have to like squeeze like everything. It's really hard.
You hold hard. Like.
I'll let you, the 30 years experience, I think is better.
Refreshed and rehydrated with a couple of coconuts, we headed into the temporary cheese-making facility. Cheesemaking is very similar all over the world. It's a time and temperature sensitive process where the freshly collected milk needs to be brought up to an exact temperature before being brought down again, then mixed with a coagulant, rested, and then formed. Once the rennet is in with the prepared milk, you don't touch it, right?
Yes.
Don't touch it because it's very sensitive. You wait for the milk solids to basically solidify and band together.
Yes.
And that's going to separate the whey from the solids, right?
Yes.
And then after, you put that in a cheesecloth and you
Drain
drain
You
it
drain it
for at least minimum 2 hours.
2 hours.
Okay. This is what I love about this product when I tried it, is how creamy yet bouncy it is. And it's the first time I've ever tried Kesong Puti that's made in this way. And it makes a huge difference in terms of texture and flavor. And I think more importantly, what they do here that's very unique is they actually, instead of just wrapping it in banana leaves like you would in the market and the product wouldn't keep too long, here they place it in that whey that was left over from the process, and that actually keeps the cheese tender and nice and soft for even a couple of weeks. I sat down with Richard Cabosora, owner of the dairy company Happy.carabao, and who markets the cheese coming out of his hometown.
Richard, thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. You mentioned something about your family having been here for a long, long time. Can you kind of tell me about your history in Magdalena?
You know, Magdalena was once part of the next town of Mahihai. It was a barrio. Mahihai was established in 1571. In the same year, Manila was a city established in that year. During that time, probably, the copra industry, the nyog, was established. The industry was emerging, growing. And later on, it really became an industry because the neighboring city of Santa Cruz started making Kesong Puti. This is the Magdalumi.
Okay, I'm gonna try it if you don't
So
mind.
try it.
I've had this before,
Okay.
and I love it because I feel like halloumi is such a popular dish and a popular cheese in Australia, especially. They have it on absolutely everything.
Oh yeah, good.
And one of my biggest things was when I go to the supermarket here, you'd only buy the Lemnos brand, which is
Right.
crazy expensive,
Right.
very salty, but I get that same squeakiness
Yes.
and that same crust,
Right.
more importantly.
Right.
So I think you were able to achieve that with this.
Right. But it's also creamier.
It's creamier as well.
Right.
Correct.
So when we started marketing it, people were looking for Keson Puti, and so, to make Magdalumi anyway, you need to make Keson Puti because that's
First.
the the next step is how to make Magdalumi. So that's how I got involved, and that's how Keson Puti really, of Magdalena, really emerged on the higher end of the market.
best way to work with a simple, beautiful product that is already extremely tasty is just to highlight those flavors with little touches of herbs and nuts and really good quality olive oils and really good quality vegetables to really just bring a simple dish together, but that looks really refined and really pretty. So I'm gonna show you today 3 different recipes using the cheeses that we discovered. For our first dish, it's a play on caprese. What I'm gonna do is roast some cherry tomatoes with some really good quality olive oil and some salt, and all that goes into the oven until beautifully charred. Next, there's a dish I really loved when I used to go to Singapore a lot. There's a restaurant there called Burnt Ends that would work with a lot of charred flavors, and they had this huge brown butter leek dish, which I absolutely adored. Okay, these are already cleaned. So what we're gonna do is, if you had huge leeks, you could actually cut these in 2 or in 4 and then put them on one side. These are fairly small, but I'm still gonna kind of halve them, just like that. So you got kind of like a beautiful exposure of the inside, and that's gonna go on one side for about 5-10 minutes, and then flipped for another 5-10 minutes until beautiful and tender. Texture is such an important part to every dish, so for both the cherry tomato dish that's going right now and for the leeks, I'm gonna make a little crumble of almonds and sesame seeds. You can add some hazelnuts, some walnuts if you want, and some sugar and some salt, and then just like really quickly cook that so that it caramelizes a little bit and becomes beautiful and crunchy. Our crumble is ready. Let that cool a little bit so that you don't burn yourself. Next, all we need to do is fry up our beautiful magdalumi. Exactly what you want. Cherry tomatoes, crunchy tops, little kind of like uneven cooking. Perfect. It'll look really rustic and beautiful. Take your sourdough, dip it in the butter. We're then gonna take it out and then we're gonna toast that separately. But in the meantime, we're gonna use that butter to make our brown butter. So all I'm looking for is for some browning to happen. And when I'm happy with it, just for a little kick of acidity so it doesn't feel all too heavy and too fatty, a little bit of sherry vinegar goes in. Let's try this brown butter, sherry vinegar, almonds with sugar. That combination of flavors. And the Kesong Puti is so soft. I could eat this like every day. So this one is a really fun dish, but I'm sure flavor-wise it's gonna be so good. It really tastes like a caprese. Those tomatoes with that magdalumi cheese. Time for dessert. I'm not a dessert guy, but I'm a wine guy. So I was thinking to showcase how we can kind of highlight the cheese, and cheese and wine is such a great pairing, but in a sweet application without making something that would take forever, I thought strawberries and cream meets wine and cheese would be a really cool concept. Number 1 rule of cooking with wine is drinking good wine. You always need to make sure that it's actually good. So we're just gonna go ahead and chop up a couple of strawberries and go ahead and mash those just to release some of their natural juices. Mix that with a little bit of red wine, some white sugar, a bit of balsamic vinegar. I'm gonna give that a taste. A bit more sugar. That goes in the bottom of our plate. Our Kesong Puti. Some pieces of mint. I'm gonna be very honest with you, I have no idea if this is actually gonna work because it's the first time that I make something like this. I've made fromage blanc. It's very common to have fromage blanc with different types of fruit. First time I tried Keson Puti, but I think it's gonna work. The perfect bite. Hey now, I feel like the Keson Puti really gives you that saltiness that the balance of the sweetness needs. You know how sometimes when you make desserts and stuff, you'll add like a little bit of salt there. That Keson Puti is extremely creamy, so it kind of feels like an extension of the whipped cream. But that brininess with the whipped cream and the strawberries and the crumble and the wine, gorgeous. In these times where travel is limited, where a lot of people can't move, I really do believe that sometimes it's worth just looking at your backyard. That was like an hour and a half away, and you'll still be able to find that authentic journey or that authentic magic that you look for when you discover new things. And in this case, you get to bring it home and cook it.